Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing God of War 2 on Titan difficulty. This is my no upgrade run plus. Although this first fight is going to be done under pain plus conditions unless at some point I activate the Golden Fleece to parry, but I don't think that I did on this fight. But Installment the 6th is what we find ourselves on. And I was able to do this fight no damage. I wasn't trying to do it no damage, but it just turned out that I didn't take any hits, which is a little difficult here, but not undoable by any means. So these are the wraiths of asphodel on this fight. We haven't seen these guys yet, but here they are. They throw projectiles at chest level to Kratos, and they also burrow projectiles underground that could stagger you, just like the chest high projectiles can stagger you. So what you basically want to do is super plume when you're at range from these guys, and then when they close in the distance, grab them. Now when you grab them, you do have iframes, but anytime you let down your guard to grab them and set them up for launches and things like that, you're completely vulnerable. What happened over here actually was I threw one of these guys off of here and he had no way to get up, and it was actually something that I've thought to do in the past. Anyway, so one is down and we should have one more coming into the fight. I thought he was going to spawn over here somewhere. I'm not sure where he ends up spawning from, but we should have another one coming into the picture here. So I'm going to do the super plume at range here and try to bounce them a little bit. I'm also almost certain that you can save it at any point you want here. So like if you kill one or two and you want to save your progress, that's something that I'm sure you can undoubtedly do. I've also thought to jump down over there to the right where we came up, but the problem about that is that they'll just walk away from you. They won't follow you down there. But watch what happens over here, because I set him down and then he fell off. So if it's just one-on-one, they have no way to stay alive pretty much. But as it turns out, he's almost finished up, so I'm going to take him out and then come up here. We'll see them walking away from us, and then they should return over to us again. And so we've killed two, and now we have two left. Here we go. So all I basically do, guys, is I like to jump and then grab them in the air, because you're safer in the air than on the ground. If you're like coming to the ground like from a jump and you're landing and trying to grab, sometimes you can get knocked out of your grab if it's in the air. So try to do it when you're relatively high up in the air. So I don't think I've ever not taken damage here, so this was something that I was really glad to see. And we'll just finish off this final wraith. Remember, when you throw them down, they burrow themselves into the ground, so you can't grab them, and then they come up before you could put your guard up in most cases, and then you're gonna get damaged. And when you're getting damaged here, you're usually getting damaged so much that you're almost getting killed. So that's why this section is kind of cheap, because this is a cheap enemy. So notice that when I grab them and I throw them, I just let them do their thing until they resurface. See? And see that? He didn't do it then. So they're coy about it. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, but they mainly do. And I half suspect that they burrow themselves under the ground to trick you when you attempt to grab them. And that's probably why he didn't go back under the ground, because the game was probably reading my inputs, and it told itself that nope, he's not trying to grab, so you don't need to go back underground. And then here is probably one of the most beautiful rooms in the game. We've got 3 summoners, or high priests of the fate, as they're high priests of the fates, as they're technically called. And then you can jump up to them, or you can launch them again after you throw them. And these guys summon the Minotaur grunts. And I was thinking when I was doing this that this would be really challenging if you had no iframes on these guys. You can't launch them either. unless you've already chained through them after doing the QuickTime event. So that's one of them down. I didn't mention this last time on my Pain Plus run, which I don't think made it this far in the publication process, but they do an attack aside from like the normal melee that they can do. I think they do some sort of a hit with their scroll. I don't know what exactly they have, some sort of a summoning scroll or something like that. But they also do this move that it's like a green little light that tracks you, and if it hits you, you're gonna have like these. The light will be at your feet, and you can't jump for about 3 to 4 to maybe even 5 seconds. This right there, you can block it, but if it hits you without you blocking, you're not going to be able to jump for a few seconds. You can move freely, but you just can't jump. So I wanted to mention that that's one of their moves that they do. That's one of my favorite things to do too. I love that. But we haven't faced a grunt in this walkthrough quite yet, and here they are. Sometimes when they hit you, they put you into a QuickTime event, which doesn't damage you unless you fail the QuickTime event. And I don't know how it's controlled, because sometimes they hit me with a normal swipe of their axes, and sometimes kind of randomly they'll put you into QuickTime events. I got locked into a bunch of QuickTime events over here. Imagine if these guys assisted Theseus. That would be really tough. See, they do this. They have iframes after you put the axe into their chests. They do have iframes for a brief period of time, but it should be noted. And then when they're guarding, like most enemies in this game, when the enemies are fiercely guarding, they're likely going to do a lunge at you. Look at this. That was pretty fair. I failed to do a launch because it didn't launch him, and then he locked me into that QTE. And I wish there was some ability with the PlayStation 4 control. Again, same deal. Same exact fucking deal. I wish there was some ability. By the way, you can't chain throw them in the air like you can in God of War 1. Some ability to be able to turbo press buttons. Because if you could turbo press the O button, this game would be much funner for me. Or if there was just... See? That's exactly what they do. Just be wary of them blocking like that. And then you just execute them in the normal manner. But in God of War 1, if you didn't know, if you launch them up into the air and yourself, you can continually press, on certain of them, I believe, not all of them, you can continue to press the O button and spam throw them in the air and execute them when they're down to their last bit of life. Okay, so I took a swipe here. Nothing's perfect, guys. You have iframes when you're swiping too. I do need to make a correction as well, because back on video 3, I think it was, when I was mentioning that the Hades fiends, those women who shoot the projectiles with a sword, that particular enemy, you don't have complete iframes when you're chain throwing them and kind of swinging them around in the air. You only have it when he's coming down with the attack to throw them again. You don't have complete iframe immunity, so I wanted to clear that up. You just don't have it, and that goes for any enemy that you're doing that on. Okay, so we're going to get a launch here. I was a little too far away. Sometimes they kind of just give you the grab if they're too far away. It's not as egregious as it is in the PSP games, even though egregious to me equals good things, because being able to grab them from far away in the air is really helpful. Anyway, we've taken down that fight. I wish there was something a little bit different to that fight, just because all it really involves at the beginning is tapping the O button to take out the High Priest of the Fate. But just imagine if you didn't have iframes on that. That would be really tough. Really tough. Okay, so the next fight we're going to be doing is actually 2 fights. It's going to be a fight with some cursed harpies. The sort of... I don't know what color you would call it. It's sort of a really pale gray color. And that is the sign of a cursed harpy. And of course we're going to be dealing with some more Fate's Guardians because they're really prolific on this section of the game. And this scenery over here is going to be having some Fade Sentries, as well as a Minotaur Grunt fighting some road soldiers, if you can see it through the gate. And then when we come into that room, we're going to see, I think the implication is that the Satyr champions have slaughtered all of those guys. So it's pretty cool. So here's the Cursed Harpies. We're doing a little bit of damaging through collision over here. And you don't get a checkpoint before the Satyr champions too. So I didn't put an edit anywhere, guys. And the checkpoint, if you're curious, it's prior to the green chest that we got a few moments ago. It's right over there. So completely skippable. So if you just want to get to the Satyr champions, I noticed Shinobi did that. He skipped that previous fight, the 2 fights that we just did, and then he went directly here. I don't like to do that. I just don't like skipping fights. But okay, so on these guys, you only have iframes when the sparring match is concluding. So what you've got to do is grab them when the other one is distanced from them, and it's not too hard because they do a lot of showy kind of twirls with their I think it's one of the most badass weapons in the game. Too bad you don't have access to something like that, but you're not likely going to get interrupted if the other one is spaced out enough. And of course, you can just do the super plume, you can use magic, you can do anything you want. I'm just doing this under Pain Plus conditions. Everything in this video, more or less, will be taken care of under Pain Plus conditions. Now, on that part there, I didn't know where the other one was, so I just took a gamble that he would be out of the way, because the camera was pretty close in that corner of the room. Okay, so I am not going to use the hammer on Perseus, but I am going to be doing some parries on him. No magic, but I don't think I've ever shown you guys me fighting him without the hammer. And it's not that much of a big deal. He's a really simple boss if you know how to do him. Okay. So I think this is the only time you fight a Satyr champion. The Satyr champions are the one with the red trailing eyes. And okay, so standard attacks don't work as well as grabbing on these guys. Grabbing is pretty much recommended, although that's a riskier thing to do. But if you're just like trying to hit them with normal attacks, it's going to take an eternity to kill these guys. So grabbing is your best alternative. So okay, see, he's finished off. Now, as long as we don't, do anything foolish over here, the fight's a sealed deal. Like, once those orbs came out of the other one, he's dead. I mean, this guy's dead. He's dead as a doornail, as the expression goes. So he doesn't have a chance unless we do something, foolish or reckless or something like that. I love that throw, man. Okay, so basic rules of thumb on these guys is just wait for their combos to finish, and then go in for a grab. He's giving out rage. Oh, the hammer gives out rage too when you kill enemies, but for some reason those guys are giving out rage too. All right, so we're gonna head on over to the lair of Perseus. I'm not going to include the Easter egg at the end of the video because I always do it, and I'm just not interested. It's not that big of a deal. You don't get many orbs. Okay, so these shitty enemies are a small little nightmare on Pain Plus, but I'm not going to abide by Pain Plus on these guys, simply because parrying them is just too easy to get them out of the way. These are the Nymphs. So all you really do is you parry their projectile, and then you grab them when they land. And since I don't want to come back up here once I finish Perseus, we have to put a shield in her hands, by the way. I'm gonna, since I don't want to come back up here, even though it's not a big deal, there won't be any more nymphs, but we can just put this down to save us a little bit of time when we come back. Okay, so we're gonna cross a few narrow beams over here and then fight some more of the nymphs. Now, on Pain Plus, obviously you can't parry, so that becomes a problem. because the projectiles can only be parried, they can't be blocked, I don't believe. And when you get caught in the webbing, it's really a nuisance to get out of it. And one of the fights with the, you know, the spike room with all those little shits, that is one of the hardest rooms in the game almost. Okay, so you get a checkpoint right before the door. Like, if I could fix this game, I would just put the checkpoint after the player opens the door, so the player doesn't have to open the fucking door every time. Now these guys are blocking. I don't know what to say about that. I think they should have the ability to block, but it is annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to parry to get them on their asses, and then we're going to hopefully deal some collision with this move. So I would say that the iframes stop when these guys are not in your possession. Like, if you watch what I'm doing over here, hopefully I do it some more. Watch as I do this. See, he lets him go for a second, and then that's when your iframes cease. So as long as he's connected to you with the chain, you have iframes. And then on these guys here, I'm going to bust out my hammer for them, and I think there's one more after him. This is Hades Juggernaut, if you haven't been watching the previous videos. So he's going to spawn right here. I'm waiting for him. And that would have been a good opening to parry, but for some reason my timing was a little off there. It must have been. And this is a really easy fight to skip if you don't want to do it. So we have 3 fights right before Perseus. And it's really only the last fight that's hard because it's a really narrow area. And with these Hades harpies circling all around, I'm not saving it because I masked an edit coming in and out of the door. This game is so easy to do edits on. It was the first game that I did an edited guide for. Okay, so they're pulling out their blocks. I have a really good fight with Perseus coming up too, guys, so I'm really happy to share it with you guys. Because when I previously did this on Pain Plus, I had a really hard time taking him down because you can't use the hammer, although this time it was the same deal. I didn't want to use the hammer because I just like observing Pain Plus rules, even though I will be using the Golden Fleece to parry. And again, you know, if that is going to be disappointing to you, I have to reiterate, although I don't think I've mentioned it before, this is not a Pain Plus run, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnails and everything. And what I'm saying when I start the videos, it's not a Pain Plus run. I'm just trying to abide by the Pain Plus rules whenever I can. Okay, so that was the first fight. This is the second one over here. And this one's not so bad. For some reason, probably just fewer enemies. So just parry to knock these guys down, and then on these Hades harpies, just do the light heavy hold combo to throw them at the guardians, and then we're gonna take these guys down. Now, of course, on this third fight that's coming up, feel free to use the Amulet of the Fates to slow down time. If you do it, it's really simple, but I don't like using it too much. Because I'm just a purist, I guess. But this fight is really hard that's coming up, and if you die over here, you start right before the first fight out here. So a moment ago my health changed because I did put an edit over here. Now we've got a couple of these guys over here, and then these Hades harpies. Yeah, it's probably it's the guardians and the Hades harpies in such a big quantity over here, causing trouble. And the AoEs that these Hades harpies do can slow down the frame rate to just a complete crawl. Now, of course, that was a violation of the Pain Plus rules right there, so technically this is not Pain Plus. I've done this on Pain Plus, this little skirmish over here. It's not impossible or by any means, it's just really annoying. Okay, so Perseus is going to be invisible on the first section. He's got a barrage of about 8 attacks that he does when he's coming for you. If you start to block from the first to the last, I think it's 8. So that's a number that you can count when he's doing all his attacks on you. So what you want to do is just look in the water for his little reflection, and then when he does that splash like that, do the combat roll across the arena and do a super plume, and then start to guard. And it's also important to note that if you're facing the wrong way when he's attacking you when he's running and then attacking you in that 8-hit combo, if you're facing a different direction, you can move the left analog stick to face him, and it'll face you without lowering your guard. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. So, this is gonna be funny because I get the circle button prompt on this guy, but for some reason it didn't register. So we'll have to lose a little bit of progress over here. And that's basically all you do, guys. When you see the splash, do the combat roll around the arena, and what's going to happen is he's going to be coming for you. So quickly do the super plume, and then just keep your guard up. Here he is. Just see what you can do. You can take a few swipes, like 2 or 3 swipes, and then do the combat roll, or you can just immediately do the combat roll. What's normally going to happen if you take a few swipes and then do the combat roll across the arena, you're probably only going to have time for square, square, triangle, not, the super plume, but you might have enough time if you're quick. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. It has something to do about when you start to guard, because sometimes he's probably hitting before I even start to guard, so it's not counting the full 8 hits. So because the barbarian hammer is more powerful, obviously, you'll be able to take him down a little bit more quickly. And also you can throw the projectiles back, but not if you're doing Pain Plus. So take a few swipes at him. There's the splash. I think I'm just going to stay here because I may have heard him say that he's somewhere else. Here he is. Take a few swipes. See, we should see him coming towards us unless he teleported. So I don't know if he teleports or something like that, but he runs pretty quickly from area to area. You also do damage him with the Golden Fleece Parry. And we should be finishing him up in a minute to getting the O button prompt. I was pretty close to him when I saw it, but for some reason it was either it didn't register or that it just faded too quickly. Like, it was probably fading when I started to press it, actually, is what I think happened. And I don't understand why it's such a brief thing. I know he's supposed to be all about speed and things, so maybe it's just that maybe the conceit is that he just doesn't get stunned for too long. I can understand that. I mean, that's fine. This should be about it. No, there's the splash. We'll combat roll over here, do a super plume, or just that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There was 8. There it was, guys. Right there, that was 8. So I count 8 in my head, actually. Is that him? He was probably... yeah. And then you could obviously throw this back at him. Is this where he goes down? Yep. Okay, whatever. I'll accept that I lost some progress there. Like, what the fuck is that all about, even? I don't... It's just so stupid. But, yes, we've lost a little progress, so we're gonna have to take some more HP off of him before we get access to that again. And then we're gonna be doing a lot of waggling. And he hits pretty hard too. So on the next phases, he's going to give you some opportunities to hit him. He's very quick with his attacks. He does like some sword combos, and he does a sort of a, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's sort of a, I'll point it out. I can't describe what it is. It's some sort of a twisting, like, jump at you that. That's parryable, by the way. So what you want to be doing is keeping your guard up and just going for 1 to 2 to 3 hits. And when he backs away like this, he's going to do this flash of light. And you have to waggle that so fucking ferociously that I can't even describe the necessity to palm it. Just don't even use your thumb, because I can't do it with my thumb, try as I might. I have to literally use the palm of my right hand. I have to hold the controller in a different way and use the palm of my fucking hand and almost break my PlayStation can I fucking talk? Jesus, my PS4 controller, which is like $45 to $50. And that's expensive. Look at that. That was pretty nice, huh? And then every time you do that, it knocks him down, which is really nice. But yeah, excessive waggling is something that I can't get behind, because I'm damaging my controller just to beat a shitty little boss like this. A controller that cost about $50 fucking dollars. And it's just unacceptable. You know. But here he's doing this. And the thing is, guys, the reason it's such a necessary thing about the waggling is that if you don't do that quick time event and start guarding instantly, you're going to get hit, and it takes a lot away. Like, you won't be able to survive 2 of those. And I'm getting a little bold. Yeah, I was bold right there. I did a super plume, and I have a bunch of super plume. There you go, bitch. Knocked you over, whore. I don't know. I've kind of grown to like this boss fight. I don't like the waggling. It hurts my hand, man. Damages my fucking controller. Look at that. Look how fast he is. He's really fast. So you can block everything that he does too, guys. I'm gonna try to do that. Yeah. Oh. Okay, so just keep waggling. And if it looks funny, it's just because I'm going crazy with the waggling. If you ever see me like accidentally switch to the hammer, that's because I'm going crazy with the waggling. And I don't think this game supports any sort of features to have the computer do the QuickTime events for you. I think that's only God of War 3 and Ascension, maybe. But New Game Plus on Ascension is dog shit. Oh, there we go. Did that again. I didn't know I parried that twice. It's pretty damn good. Maybe I'm not half bad at this game after all. We have to take his shield off, though, and then break his sword. And we're gonna get another. We should get another circle button pretty quickly. And this one lasts a little longer, I think. There it goes. So just press circle. You'll throw him. We're gonna break the sword, and then all he has is a shield, but he can still attack. Okay, so we're gonna knock him down like this a few times, and you can be a little bit more riskier with your attacks, but just keep doing the waggling. I mean, I can do the waggling sometimes with my left thumb, but most of the times it's just more effective, I find, to palm it. See? I'm going crazy with the waggling. See that shit? That's why, I'm telling you guys. Okay, we got a super plume on him. I'm sure that hit him, and then I switched to my barbarian hammer here because I was going crazy probably. And then with these, you can guard them or you can throw them back at him with the golden fleece. And eventually he's gonna go back to like where he needs to be so we can finally execute him. He's gonna finally get into position. It's a pretty cool fight though, now that I think about it. I just not like this fight because I couldn't see him at first. And I wish there was some sort of a mod or something that you could see him in the first phase. That would be kind of cool. But it's still a well-made fight. It's just that if I would fix it, I would, first of all, just eliminate the excessive waggling. Just have the player have a little bit more flexibility and make it a little easier to do without ruining one's controller. And then on that first circle button prompt, just make it longer. Even if the person is at the other end of the room. If he's fast enough, he should be able to get over there and finish him off. Okay, so he's going to back up into this wall, which we need him to, but we still have him doing the flashes of light, and I'm trying to parry here and failing. Yeah, he's about done. I mean, this guy got wrecked. He really did. This is probably the best fight I've ever done, and it's not saying too much because look at my health, you know. But still, I was satisfied with it. And then you've got some waggling there. I don't know. I think I was using my thumb that time. But, you know, just don't fail the quick time events. You'll throw them over there. And then we're going to be heading up to, eventually, to, what's it called? I don't know. We'll be fighting some satyrs and juggernauts, though. So you can interact with Perseus' course if you want to see what they have to write about it. So we're going to head on over here, place the shield in the statue's hand, and then place the statue on a recessed area in the ground over here. And then we're going to get to the save point after we complete the puzzle, and then that will conclude the video. And I think we've got an urn to collect in the next section. Notice that this area and Destiny's Atrium are really similar to one another. So just jump onto this block and then come over here, press left trigger, or excuse me, just L1, and then we're going to head on down here, save our progress, and then head to the next video. Take care.